Well, that escalated quickly. Was anybody surprised the Saints were going to lose tonight? Well, I know I wasn't the only one, but I told you. I told you so. I told you so. And I told you so. If you may have seen my comments on some videos on YouTube, that I'm not surprised by what has happened tonight because I think somebody should have seen this coming. Because you're dealing with a team that never really had confidence or an identity to begin with. And the Giants game last week was a fluke, just like the Pats game weeks ago. Because what I heard last week from some Saints fans was saying, "Oh, this team got it together. Oh, this is a playoff-bound team." And then all of a sudden Thursday night come along, and then you realize they are what we thought they were: a mediocre, shitty team that draft poorly, that sign retreads and aging players, have an outdated offense, and a competent head coach, and a C grade QB who think he's an A-list QB. You know, I am not surprised at all. Because many people kept saying maybe tonight's game would be the demise of Dennis Allen. And I believe that it is. I believe that it totally is. Because what the hell are the next two games going to be? What, play for pride? Play for pride? I hate that whole play for pride sort of thing. To me, those next two games is more like evaluation than anything. Or who you're going to keep and who you're not going to keep. Because what I've seen throughout this season, and even through last season, is this pattern. They play high against a lesser opponent and play low against a higher opponent. And that's what we've seen. And the Rams is a higher opponent, despite the Saints do have the talent to match somewhat. But the thing is, what we saw was a team that was not meant to be successful this year. Because the high expectations many people put on this team, we should have basically seen it as a mirage. Because it's that opportunity seems is there, but all of a sudden it's disappearing right before your eyes. Because to me, you cannot have this team keep leaning on, as I said before, retreads and poor drafting and aging free agents. You can't. You just cannot deal with this at all like that. Because I think the problem with this team is that they should have dismantled everything last year. They should have not hired Dennis Allen. They should have hired some up and coming young head coach. Maybe not like a Mike McDaniel type, but someone that's kind of up and coming that may have some sort of potential in the future. And just dismantle the team. Just get rid of all the aging players and just have a clean slate. Sign players on 1-year deals, trade any type of player that has some value for low round draft picks, and just go into a full rebuild. I would have been fine with that. Right now, we're at a point where if Dennis Allen does lose his job, the Saints have two options on the table. They can either hire a coach a person like Ben Johnson, that they're going to pay a hell of a lot of money, give him full autonomy, and see what he can do to try to keep the team still competitive, retooling, but stay away from aging players and retreads. And that would mean that you may have to go into signing second tier and third tier players in year one, and then probably in year 2 or 3 you can get those first tier type talents. The second option on the table is to hire, a coach that maybe recently was fired, like a Brandon Staley. Okay, that's a defensive minded coach. Sorry, but some offensive minded coordinator or quarterbacks coach, and just dismantle the whole damn thing. To the point where the thing is, the Saints may not be fully competitive to the year 2025 or 2026. So let's think about this, because you cannot go into a whole run it back routine, because you're going to be in the same predicament as you've been in the last 2 years. So think about those two options, folks, because that's the only options we have at this moment. Because you cannot run it back, keep the same old song, and then all of a sudden we'll be more worse than what we were this year. Because right now the Saints are at a point of finishing 7-10. They're going to finish 7-10. It won't be no 8-9, and it's sure not going to be no 9-8. That's just not happening. It's going to be 7-10 for sure. Because this is when they're going to have to make a change. Because you cannot go run it back like the old Pelicans teams with Alvin Gentry and run it back and hoping that it leads to something. Because that's not going to happen. You're going to have to get a brand new head coach who have full control, retool it to make this team competitive, or still hire a new head coach and just blow the whole thing up and just start all over. Folks, that is my 2 cents.